What's going on, everybody? So just wanted to give people a little bit of an update in regards to my Twitter account. It has been suspended. This is not really a big deal. It's something that I have been sort of expecting to happen at a certain point in time, especially when you're dealing with topics that have to do with the alt-right. Because their usual tactics, because they are sort of these types of people who had their asses kicked by life. They found a group of friends online, and that sort of propped them up, and that brought them into a community who then presented these ideas to them, and it's a comforting thought. But ultimately they're like 80% dudes, 20% women, and it leads to perpetual misery, which is why they lash out and do these flagging campaigns and that sort of thing. But it wasn't the alt-right that did this, surprisingly. It was most likely culprit is Tonka. The guy who has been threatening people with physical violence, and all of a sudden it turns out that he's this twig farm Spicoli looking motherfucker with like spaghetti arms. And a threat by something like that is not really something to take seriously. And everybody was making fun of him. So, of course, what the guy does, because he's a weakling and a coward, he decides to move on to flagging campaigns in order to try to save face, which is a laugh because he doesn't really have anything to save, to be honest. But I'll put the tweets in question over here, where he's inciting for a flagging campaign on Twitter, and there's not much that you can do against this. It's just something that's present on Twitter, and it's kind of policed by communities themselves at the moment. But I don't hear anybody calling Tonka out on his bullshit, which is expected as well, because ultimately. People in his circles have these simplistic arguments. They don't have any consistency in their positions. They'll look at an issue with no bullshit, and yeah, let's go ahead and publish his information. But when Tonka is galactically stupid and he decides to get himself on Worski Live, which gives him an IMDb page. That is a dox if you release the information that's on IMDb. By the way, their evidence for this was like this Google cached page, which they think is somehow the creation date of the account, which it isn't. What it is that it's a snapshot that Google takes on certain websites and caches that information over to their servers. So they think that it was created like on January the 27th or something like that. So they're fueling their biases with information that isn't completely and totally inaccurate. And when you look at the actual page itself, like there's a method you can actually, I believe it's carbon date something. You can look at the when the actual listing for Tonka shows up, like on the IMDb page, and it shows that it's like a year ago. So it's been there this whole time. So they have absolutely no evidence of the shit that they're saying. And right now they're just on damage control, and they're just, flagging people down. And, in regards to people who supposedly care about free speech, this is incredibly hypocritical. Look, Twitter account got suspended. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not the kind of person who minds my P's and Q's online. And, people are going to use the terms of service against me in that regard. So I don't want any outrage from anybody. If anything, the most you should be doing is like trying to get Twitter to acknowledge the fact that there are pieces of shit like Tonkasa out there who will resort to flagging campaigns. And if there's a way to protect the accounts of people who are just necessarily taking on bullies, if that's something you want to have happen, then, just give constructive criticism how they can improve their platform. I don't want any whining in regards to like, oh, this is blah, 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 you got suspended, this is so bad, and oh, Stephen Bonnell Destiny got suspended as well, and like, who cares? I'm just gonna go watch some documentaries, catch up on some courses that they give online and that sort of thing. Play a bit of Overwatch, and I'll be just peachy. And I'll be back in one form or another. So, all right, guys. Take care of yourselves.